In the past 20 years, the popularity of the Dragon Ball series in America has exploded. The Dragon Ball universe has spawned tons of comics and manga, 4 anime series, 19 animated feature films, card games, video games, a ton of toys and merchandise, and a live-action feature film. In fact, as a testimony to its popularity in America, Dragon Ball's hero Goku will appear as a giant balloon in the 2018 Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, which is an honor bestowed on such popular characters as Mickey Mouse, Spider-Man, Snoopy, and Pikachu. The Dragon Ball story follows our hero, Goku, from his childhood where he learns to become a hero. Goku is a member of the ancient Saiyan race, who was sent to Earth as an infant with the intention of destroying everyone. But an accident strips him of his memory, which allows him to grow up and become Earth's greatest defender and the leader of the Dragon Ball game, a loose collection of fighters who help Goku defend Earth. Goku is such a hero that even his worst enemy, Frieza, has described him as a nobleman of great clarity. Fans all over the world have been rapidly following Goku's maturity into adulthood through all the various incarnations of the Dragon Ball franchise, including the original Dragon Ball Z, and most recently, Dragon Ball Super.
Man, it's been way too long.
The series has been described as a long soap opera with superpowers and supernatural themes, which is fairly common in its home country of Japan, but relatively new here in the West.
Majin Buu was ridiculously strong, and you never know. One day, someone even stronger could show up.
The most recent incarnation, Dragon Ball Super, is a continuation and a sequel to the original Dragon Ball series. It began life as a serialized manga in 2015 and was available in English to us here in the West in 2017. Most people are at least familiar with the Dragon Ball anime series, and the Dragon Ball Super anime made its English debut in 2017 on Cartoon Network's Toonami to millions of rabid English-speaking Dragon Ball fans.
You've waited long enough, and now the time has come. Nami is proud to present Dragon Ball Super.
In the new series, our hero Goku isn't a giant parade balloon, but instead, he's restored peace to Earth following one of the major battles in the Dragon Ball Z series, and is working as a peaceful radish farmer while training on the side, just in case Earth is threatened again.
Another planet has been decimated. Just what could be happening out there?
Sure enough, Earth is absolutely threatened again, and before too long, Goku and his friends assemble to fight off the threat, but while doing so, launch off on an interplanetary adventure. As part of that adventure, Goku meets Zenu, the Omni King, and one of the 2 entities that oversee the entire universe, with his counterpart, Future Zeno, during the Tournament of Destroyers. One of the attendants of Zenu is a being called the Great Priest, who's introduced as an angel who's the father of all 12 attendant angels who serve all 12 gods of destruction. The Great Priest acts as a parent of sorts to the childlike Zeno. The Great Priest is a calm, easygoing, well-mannered fellow who's later revealed to have an amazing level of power and is quite a formidable fighter himself.
Welcome, my friends, and thank you for coming. It has been too long.
The Great Priest has also been the subject of much fan controversy, as Dragon Ball fans all over the world have debated over the true nature of this enigmatic but insanely powerful creature. Since the Great Priest is so reserved and calm, many of the character's nuances and behaviors have been subject to interpretation, leaving fans to wonder what's his true nature and what's his true motivation.
Many would be deceived by his appearance, but when it comes to fighting prowess, the Grand Minister is considered to be in the top 5.
Now, one fan theory states that the Great Priest has sinister motives for all his actions and isn't the noble creature he appears. It's this theory that the Great Priest is evil that's about to get debunked. It goes like this. Zeno, in a childlike, petulant fit, erases 6 of the 18 universes that exist in the Dragon Ball world. In the manga, it's revealed that Zeno erased these universes simply because he felt there were too many of them. Now, holy Thanos, Batman.
Perfectly balanced, as all things should be.
Zeno then intended to use the Tournament of Power to decrease the number of universes even more. In the Tournament of Power, champions from 8 of the remaining 12 universes would compete, and any champions who lose would have their universes erased as punishment for being too weak. And you know, keeping an eye on one universe is a pretty big job, but you multiply that by 8, or 12, or 18, and you can understand why he might want to scale down a bit. Throughout the whole tournament, the Great Priest stood loyally by Zeno, calmly advising Zeno and keeping him from acting irrationally.
Welcome, funny Goku.
What's up?
Some fans seem to believe that the Great Priest was actually the Svengali pulling the strings, and that it was actually his idea to erase the universes. They use this as evidence that the Great Priest is actually not the trusted advisor he's presented as, but rather evil.
Those universes defeated in the Tournament of Power are to be eliminated by Grand Zeno himself.
The theory states that the Great Priest, one of the mightiest beings in all of creation, feels threatened that mortals like Goku can attain godlike powers in their lifetime and, with enough training, can become as strong as the angels, or even the Great Priest himself. Mortals like Goku and Vegeta show the potential of reaching that level of power and could prove to be a formidable threat to the Great Priest. So the Tournament of Power was created not only to measure the power levels of mortals from each universe, but that by erasing the weaker universes, it becomes easier to control the power levels of mortals. The theory even points to the lack of concern that the Great Priest shows when the universes are erased as demonstration of a lack of empathy, but also a lack of surprise, as the Great Priest is the mastermind behind the destruction of the universes. Not cool, Great Priest.
I should point out that the 1st and 12th universes, as well as the 5th and the 8th, are exempt from participating in this particular tournament.
Well, we think this theory's full of the same stuff that Goku uses to fertilize his radish farm. But before we get into why, let's take a closer look at the Great Priest.
Ladies and gentlemen, assembled deities, I have a message for you from the Omni King.
The Great Priest has been described as one of the top 5 strongest beings in the entire multiverse. The narrative also hints that he's the strongest angel, as Whis himself, the most powerful being in Universe 7, openly admits that even his power is nothing compared to the Great Priest. In the manga, Whis mentions that the Great Priest is the strongest warrior in the universe, thereby standing above the other top 4 fighters and holding an unbelievable power level. If he's evil, everybody's in a lot of trouble. His power and authority are so high that both Supreme Kais and all the gods of destruction immediately bow to him in respect. He actually caused Beerus, one of the mightiest gods of destruction, to shrink back in fear by simply glaring at him. When he requested 3 other gods of destruction, Iwan, Eric, and Liqueur, to rebuild parts of the arena for the Tournament of Power after they severely damaged it, all he had to do to make them comply was to say that they faced punishment, or even erasure if they dared defy his authority.
It's simple. All of the defeated universes will be promptly wiped from existence.
See, you don't tug on Superman's cape, you don't spit in the wind, you don't pull the mask off the old Lone Ranger, and you don't mess around with the Great Priest.
The whole universe? Wiped out!
In the manga, he has such a massive level of strength that he effortlessly stops the punches from Beerus and Kitella using only his fingers. He's also left unaffected by Rumash's Battle Roar, which is capable of doing quite a whammy on the Supreme Kais and the Gods of Destruction.
I know your tendencies quite well, Goku, but you must not under any circumstances ask him to fight. Do you understand?
Interestingly, he's also the only angel who's completely independent of a God of Destruction and a Supreme Kai. While he's the father of the other angels, it seems his only responsibility is keeping Zeno in line. In fact, a lot of fans think Zeno is just a figurehead and that the Great Priest is actually the one calling the shots, either through manipulating Zeno or, more directly, actually being the overseer of all the universes.
You see, Grand Zeno has carefully evaluated all 12 universes and assigned each one a ranking.
We think there's a few holes in this theory. After considerable study of Dragon Ball Super, we're not convinced that the Great Priest is actually evil. And here's why. First, at the end of the big tournament, when Jiren, Goku, and Frieza are all eliminated, the Great Priest announces that Universe 11 is the next to be erased, which leaves Universe 7, the universe we've all come to know and love through the years, as the champion universe. The Great Priest then asks the last surviving fighter, Android 17, who fans call the MVP of the universe, for his wish, which is granted as a reward for winning the tournament. The Grand Priest grins slightly when Android 17 wishes for all the erased universes restored, and then grants that wish. Then, this evil Grand Priest reveals that the tournament's true purpose was to test the virtue of mortals rather than their power. And if the champ had made a selfish wish, all the universes would have been erased. That's actually pretty noble, and not unlike some of the stories in the Old Testament of the Bible where God tests mortals like Job or Jacob and rewards them for their virtue. Second, beings like the Omni-Kings and the Great Priest are so powerful and so beyond mortal comprehension that they exist beyond cerebral concepts like good and evil. They're more like forces of nature, which act a certain manner because that's just what they do. An earthquake or a tornado is neither good nor evil, but when it destroys your whole trailer park, it's just doing what a tornado does. There's no conceptualizing of why it's doing that, it just does. In turn, if it's your trailer park or you're one of the trillions of lives snuffed out when Zeno erases your universe, it's easy to see that as an evil action. But an earthquake or a tornado doesn't work that way, does it? You can't ascribe evil to a force in the universe. Third, it's a metaphor. The Great Priest is described as one of the most powerful beings in the universe, an angel, and the father of all the other angels. Now, viewing this through Western lenses, it's easy to draw a straight line between the Great Priest, a mega powerful being who created all the angels, and the God of the Judeo-Christian religions, a mega powerful being who created all the angels. Some might even compare the Great Priest with the traditional hierarchy of the angels, pointing out that the Great Priest is actually the only archangel in Dragon Ball. But he's also one of the 5 most powerful beings in creation. Pair that with the fact that some believe that there are 5 archangels mentioned in the life of Adam and Eve: Michael, Gabriel, Uriel, Raphael, and Joel. The parallel almost ends there, but we presume that the use of the word angel is intentional by the creators, and therefore, so is the conclusion we're drawing.
Those are real angels?
Accept no substitutes.
In the Dragon Ball world, the angels exist to guide and teach the gods of destruction to master their abilities. And we think gods of destruction is a good way to describe the way humans have acted on Earth throughout history.
A bit harsh for food you called tasty.
Fourth, in the Dragon Ball world, hell is a real place. In one Dragon Ball episode, the mighty warrior Frieza goes to hell, where he encounters creatures referred to as the Angels of Hell. However, instead of fire and brimstone, instead of pointy-eared guys with pitchforks, it seems like hell in the Dragon Ball world is full of soft and fuzzy and cheerful, colorful fairies who sing and play. It's like spending eternity with the Teletubbies, which, come to think of it, sounds an awful lot like hell to us, too. It was certainly torture for a rough-and-tumble warrior like Frieza as well, who managed to escape hell, only to be returned there and welcomed by his tormentors with open arms. Now, if this is hell, and these angels of hell are truly the evilest creatures, it should be pointed out that the Great Priest and his angel offspring show no physical connection to these fuzzy little demons, and don't even act in a similar manner. Fifth, iconography. Now, obsessive fans have a tendency to really get in there and examine the minutiae of their fandom. They pore over every frame of film in a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. They freeze frame and look for clues in the background of every episode of Adventure Time. And they notice even the smallest motion or change of inflection of any character in a Dragon Ball episode. Now, all of this is done with the belief that every image and every sound is a deliberate choice on the creator's part to provide a clue for upcoming stories. And if this is the case, then the Great Priest's halo should be considered. A halo is an icon used in religious art that's often depicted as a ring of light or a crown of light rays, which is used to indicate a holy or sacred figure. Artists use them all the time, from ancient Greek to Buddhist artists, through Roman artwork, all the way up to the Renaissance. The rule of thumb is that if you're looking at a piece of classical art and you see someone with a big glowing disc around their heads, that person is the important one. They're the holy one. The Great Priest is always depicted with a halo, and so are the angels. The biggest difference is that the Great Priest's halo is significantly larger and is the only halo that actually appears over the owner's head. Whereas the angels' halos hang around their necks and their bodies, the Great Priest's halo above his head conforms to this classical art iconography, indicating that there's possibly something divine about him, which sets him apart from the other mortal, and from Zeno, and from the other angels.
He'd like to have some fighters from the 7th, yourself included, going up against champions from the 9th.
While fans have ascribed evil behavior to the Great Priest as a result of some of his subtler actions during the Tournament of Power, we think they're overlooking those 5 important elements that demonstrate that the Great Priest is not evil. There may be more to him than what's been revealed, but to us, he's certainly not evil. And based on what we see, it's not the creator's intention for him to be perceived as evil.
I can't feel a heartbeat. He's dead. Oh!
The Dragon Ball Super anime series came to an end earlier this year, leaving fans wanting more and demanding that some of the questions from the series which remain get answered. Fortunately, Toei Studios will be releasing the first full-length anime feature with the Dragon Ball Super brand, called Dragon Ball Super Broly.
That must be the guy.
I don't know who he is, but his energy's absurd.
We're hoping this settles the debate about the Great Priest once and for all, but we don't know too much about the story. Sources say that Dragon Ball Super Broly takes place after the Tournament of Power and all the universes have been restored. The studio's press release says, "This is the story of a new Saiyan. Earth is peaceful following the Tournament of Power. Realizing that the universes still hold many more strong people yet to see, Goku spends all his days training to reach even greater heights. Then one day, Goku and Vegeta are faced by a Saiyan called Broly, who they've never seen before. The Saiyans were supposed to have been almost completely wiped out in the destruction of planet Vegeta. So what's this one doing on Earth?" The encounter between these three Saiyans, who have followed completely different destinies, turns into a stupendous battle.
The Tournament of Power opened my eyes. No way I can stay at the same level I'm at now.
We saw the trailer at the 2018 San Diego Comic-Con, and based on what we saw, we can't wait to watch the whole movie. It's more what the fans have come to expect. Characters they love, new characters to meet, far-out adventures, and tons of action. That's not bad for an alien radish farmer, don't you think? Will we see Zeno and the Great Priest in Dragon Ball Super Broly? We'll have to wait and see with everyone else. But we're excited for the next chapter of one of the most interesting narratives in contemporary popular culture. Meanwhile, if you just can't get enough Dragon Ball, be sure to also check out the newest anime, Super Dragon Ball Heroes, based on the video game of the same name. In this series, Trunks returns to train with Vegeta and Goku, but after he disappears, a mysterious stranger tells our heroes he's off on a prison planet, sending them off in search of Dragon Balls to free Trunks. The series involves an epic quest, a good old-fashioned heist, and, naturally, plenty of the trademark Dragon Ball action.
You squeeze into that tight little shirt I got you and show off your curves a bit more?
When the heroes of the Dragon Ball world meet a divine being who's at the right hand of the ruler of the multiverse, it's a big deal. Is the Grand Priest good? Or evil? Or something completely different? Based on what we've seen, we don't think he's evil. But like any good ongoing story, more will be revealed in time. And the more things are revealed, the more fan theories will pop up. And when they do, we'll be here to make sure they're completely debunked. What do you think? Do you support the Grand Priest is evil theory? Tell us your thoughts right there in the comments section below. And be sure to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss the next exciting episode of Debunked right here on CBR. Thanks for watching.